So I'm really curious about what these high performers, high achievers, like what they struggle with. And I know you're here to talk about imposter syndrome. And I guess sometimes we think everything's all rosy and like the grass is greener, but for some reason it still kind of surprises me that people face this at all levels. What do they say? New level, new devil, right? Even the high entrepreneurs who look like they're doing well struggle with this. So tell me more about it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first, I think it makes a little bit of sense to just give you an idea of what imposter syndrome is. One of the things that's important to know is that it does affect high achievers and people who want more out of life and entrepreneurs more so than someone who is okay with where they're at in life. If they just want, they're okay with checking, and punching a 9 to 5 clock, and that's good, and that gives them happiness, they tend to suffer from imposter syndrome a little bit less. It's those that are taking the bigger risks that feel the imposter syndrome more. And what it's been described of as is this feeling that you have been promoted or put yourself in a situation that's beyond your real capacity and your competence. You feel like you are a fraud, and people are going to figure that out soon. That somehow your skills and what you have to bring to the table is not enough for what it is that you're trying to do. So it's to touch on your point a little bit, the highest levels. I love that Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, said that no CEO arrives in that office feeling like they're qualified for the job. And they may not tell you that, but they all feel unqualified to be CEO. I love that for two reasons. One, it's incredibly candid from a person who is, undeniably, one of the best and most incredible CEOs, that we have in our time. And I can also say, I have yet to work with a C-suite executive or an entrepreneur, and we're talking entrepreneurs that are bringing in, easily multiple 6 figures, multiple 7 figures, and they feel this way. They don't usually tell me in the first meeting, but they confess it as they're moving on. These people who have resumes and they have tons and tons of evidence about that backs up how extraordinary they are and how competent they are, and yet they have these internal gremlins that put them at risk for inaction. And to be honest, there are two things you should know. Imposter syndrome is common. It's something that's going to come up, so you should expect it. And if you can treat it like that it's not this big deal. It's not this, it sounds like such a big deal, like imposter syndrome. I need to go and find, that pill that's going to cure me of it. You won't be cured of it. It's about identifying the tools so that imposter syndrome doesn't hold you back and keep you from reaching your full potential as an entrepreneur, as an executive, or keep you like completely paralyzed. Because for some people, they have found a way and they've employed their own tools and systems so that they can continue to work and continue to grow, even though they experience these negative thoughts, these, feelings of, inadequacy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what I want everybody to hear from right now, if these high level people are feeling it, I can tell you 100% the clients who are hiring you and those business owners who are hiring you are going through it too. And you sometimes feel like you're kind of, I don't know, that you're kind of unequal in some of these situations, but you're running into the same problem with your own clients. They're working through this, and you can sometimes be the sidekick and the buddy that helps them and encourages them. That happens to me all the time. But I want you to use that to your advantage, because I know you're going to work through it too. Like Jennifer just said, it's coming. Imposter syndrome is coming. So will you be teaching us the tools today, or what are you going to teach us?
The first step really to dealing with it is awareness and to catch yourself. And there are some times where you don't even realize, you're not like, oh, this is an imposter syndrome moment. Sometimes imposter syndrome shows up for us in the types of inaction where we're holding ourselves back. Think about someone, I assume a lot of your freelancers probably need to be including content marketing and putting out posts on social media. And if you are having a difficult time really speaking your truth, really putting yourself out there, maybe showing up on video, which converts better than writing, need to recognize, ooh, this is a little bit of imposter syndrome. It's not simply that I don't like my face on video. It might be that you are worried that what you have to say is not going to be received very well.
Oh, yes. I see this all the time with my own clients.
Absolutely. So that's one of the ways that imposter syndrome shows up. Another way, and I'm going to say guilty. This next one, this is me. Okay, shows up as overwork and over credentialing.
Okay.
It's chasing after, I don't have enough yet. I need another certification. I need another degree. I need to do more. I need to prove it. I need to, and I was, like I said, I was a lawyer. So I love stacks of evidence. File evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence that I can show you that I'm worthy of, of doing this work with you. It also shows up in not charging enough.
Well, before we get into that, I see so many freelancers taking course after course, joining every membership and never feeling like they know enough to get bid. And I try to tell them, like, look, listen, you are 10% ahead of your clients most of the time. Like, that is good enough to move forward and take action. But that being caught up in the serial learning and the serial certifications is like a real problem.
I can see in the comments that some people are talking about when you're stuck in your own head. And yes, that's that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm a mindset coach. And what I want you to know is that the reason that you feel stuck is because stuck is safe. The feeling of being stuck keeps you safe. That's, if you get to understand about how your brain works, that's your amygdala, your lower brain, your lizard brain, or your inner critic. And your inner critic is a jerk. Your inner critic needs to go away and it needs to knock it off. So when you find yourself in a place where you're like, wow, I really feel stuck, that's when you have to engage your inner wizard. And I got that phrase from Martha Beck. She wrote a great book on finding your own North Star. Love her. And she talks about, like, how do you deal with these automatic negative thoughts, these thoughts about not being good enough, not credentialed enough, not having enough, whatever that is for you in a particular moment. And how you need to recognize that what your inner critic is saying, it wants to keep you stuck. It wants to keep you still because still is safe. And if you're putting yourself out there and risking, if you're putting your videos out, you're putting your content out, if you are, putting yourself in front of these new clients that feel like a reach for you, anytime you're taking a risk, your lower brain wants to stop you from that because it might kill you. Like if you show up on live on Facebook, you're definitely going to die. It's so what's useful about that is knowing that's how your brain is wired. You're just a human being. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so all you need to do is, I call it cross and examining my inner critic. Martha Beck says, engage your inner wizard. And what you do is you ask, is that really true?
Okay.
Is it really true that I shouldn't be talking about this? You already know it is. If you've already taken the step to be in your own business and to be putting yourself out there as a freelancer, you already know that you have skills that are valuable to someone.
Yes.
So you need to challenge these thoughts that you have as soon as they come up. There's another idea is that when these thoughts where you're ruminating and you are stuck in this place where you keep thinking the negative thoughts, what you really have going on is you're getting like caught up in a trap of almost like anxiety, or you're getting caught in these like worthless feelings, or these feelings again of not being enough. And what you can do quickly is to work on changing your state. Okay. And this is like how you feel. So if you're feeling stuck, you're not taking action, because action is the fastest way out of imposter syndrome, is to take a small step. If you feel like I can't even do that, I can't take the small step, that means that your state is so agitated in the moment that it really just wants to keep you in a little box, right? And so we get into this. You can change your state in as little as 2 minutes with no money. Okay. You don't have to pay anybody.
Sign me up.
In 2 minutes. And this is backed by science, and it's a hormonal response.
Okay.
And so this is a fun one. And you will hear about speakers who have to get on stage and they have to do scary things. what they will do is they will open their body language. So I was sitting like this on purpose. This is what we do. We're in protective mode. You need to get out of protective mode to get unstuck.
Okay.
For 2 minutes, you can put yourself in this position, and it is like a chest. Your chest is up. It's preferably standing. It's like the superhero pose.
I love
We'll
it.
hear about this a lot, is that these power poses that we can engage in. Sometimes it's if you're sitting in a seat, you'll see people like, you know, sitting back like this. It's any pose that has you in a more open position will start to change the way your brain is thinking. And it will also change your hormonal response. If you don't believe me and you're like, Jen, it's not that simple, that's crazy. Go watch. There's a TED Talk. I'll send you the link so you can give it to your group. It's Amy Cuddy. She's a Harvard professor. She sends this message out, says everyone share it because it's that useful. And it's about getting yourself into this physical state where you can get ready to take that next action. And it's really about being open and expansive. If I can, I'll give you one more.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit ridiculous, so I don't know, you know, but a lot of us are in our houses, so no one's going to see you do this. If you're getting on a sales call or right before you have to get on a live, you can put yourself in this position. Whoops, I'm trying to do it like where my camera is, and it's the V, like the V for victory. And I want you to, and you would have to hold this for 2 minutes for it to work. To change your hormones.
Yeah.
But what this is a really good feeling position that you can go into. And think about it. It's the winning position. I'm a winner.
Every time I finish my little 4-mile jog I do on Sundays, I go like this, no matter who's watching me. I hit that little post. I'm like,
that's amazing. And you are someone who gets into fast action a lot. I wonder if don't even realize you're regulating your state. You're getting yourself into a more confident state. So you know what? It's science.
okay.
And it's scientifically backed. And that how we sit, and think about it. If you sit and you're taking, one of the worst things you can do is to be like taking notes, hunched over. It actually, and even if you sit there, as I'm talking to you, I can feel different when I'm in a different position. This is taught by leadership experts. It's taught to high-level executives how they should stand in meetings. Why do people pay thousands of dollars to have their body language evaluated? They do because it matters and it works.
Communicates so much. Yeah.
Yes. And so when we say fake it till you make it, what does that mean? Sometimes it means exactly this. It means standing with your hands on your hips.
I don't think that is a bad thing at all. It's like,
it means smiling.
Okay.
Smiling, even when it's a fake smile. Okay. So even if you can't smile and you're miserable, if you put a pen in your teeth, like this, which mimics smiling.
Yeah.
Brain scans show that it changes the way your brain is reacting like that very quickly.
Wow.
So smiling is something that can also get you into a very, very fast state. So these are quick little tools that you can do, like right before, like I said, right before a call, right before a live. But what do you do? And we also have the tools where your negative thoughts coming in and you're going to respond to that. You're going to do a little argument with it. It's not true. Those thoughts aren't true. Yeah. I have a third tool that I really think is really important, and I'm very big on systems.
Okay.
And making sure that you are doing things on a regular, continuous basis. And so what I think is a great thing to do is to keep either a brag book or a brag file.
I love it.
This is important for business owners in general. You should be keeping track of any testimonial, any praise that you get, because you use that in your marketing materials. It's what you use to help you sell and show the evidence of what you can do. But it's also good for you, and it's good for reducing the amount of imposter syndrome that you feel. And it's good for boosting your confidence. I believe that you should have one of these items, you know, like a brag book, a brag file, online, whatever it is. And you should look at it in regular intervals, not just when you feel bad, not just when you're having a rough time.
Okay.
And you should do that a minimum of once a quarter. Preferably if you're someone who's newer in business or having a tough time really putting yourself out there, then I recommend that you do it at least once a month. And you just sit back. You sit back with a cup of coffee and you look and you remind yourself that there is evidence out there that people think that I'm great. Now, for freelancers, where this can get tricky, especially as if they're new, they might not have direct evidence on their new venture in the freelancing that they're doing. It's okay to look at It's okay to go back to a time when you were situationally confident. So you might not feel confident in the thing that you're putting yourself out there. There's stuff in your background that you feel really good about, that you can own it, that you have that I am so confident energy. Put that in your brag book to start. Things that you've done phenomenally well, that people love, that people think that you did, that's fantastic. Put that in your brag book. Even if it's just you remembering what someone told you, write those notes down. It matters. And again, everything that I do and that I teach when it comes to mindset, I am such a nerd. I've gone back and I'm like, is this back? Like, I'm not going to teach it unless it's backed. If there aren't studies that show that this works for the people who are the high performers, the people who are doing really well and the most successful,
Yeah.
I won't teach it. It's not backed by science. It's not shown to be useful. I don't teach it. Every single one of these very simple things can change you and your business going forward.
Something I read recently was talking about like we filter out all the positive stuff and our brains focus on the negative. And it was like eye-opening how much our brain locks onto that and repeats it and just dumps all the positive stuff. So that brag book you're talking about, the I love me folder, the I love me wall, maybe the Slack channel, you know, all of that can help remind yourself of the good stuff because it's so easy to like just absolutely forget it. And you're not even doing it on purpose.
You're not. So what's fascinating is, so there's this whole area of mindset where it talks about neuroplasticity and the growth mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they've looked at in terms of the studies show that 77% of your thoughts are negative because you're a human being.
So sad.
Right? It's kind of like, wow, the deck is totally stacked against me, right? And
that's
so,
negative.
yeah, what is that? This doesn't mean that you have to have positive thoughts all the time. It's the acknowledgement that you won't have positive thoughts all the time. What tools am I going to use to address these negative thoughts when they pop up?
Yeah.
Because I'm a human being. I'm not going to judge myself. You know, the people who are like positive vibes only. All right, I get the point. I know why people say that. Positive vibes are lovely. They're just not likely to happen 77% of the time, you know, because you're a human being, you know, you're not this mystical creature who can be positive all the time.
Okay.
Your brain is wired to do that. So don't judge yourself for having a negative thought.
Yeah, I can see this applying a lot to us freelancers because sometimes it's something we haven't done before.
Sure.
And it really is a verb because you're working on it and you're practicing it. And eventually you get to where you have that situational confidence. But here's the thing, even in the online marketing space, the digital business space, you can't control everything. Like you could be really good at copy. Sure. You could be really good at graphic design. You could put together the best Facebook ad and it could tank because like so much of it is out of your control. So I think learning to realize like what parts you can control and like how do you, I don't know, I have so many questions about this, but how do you like really gain that confidence when you're brand new like that? Do you have any tips or tricks? Because a lot of my students have gone through the course, they've learned the thing, they haven't quite done the thing. And we're talking about ways to bring in like mentor programs or like internships to get there. But do you have any other suggestions?
I would say embrace failure.
Okay.
Okay. And that people who embrace failure, okay, and mistakes and see them not as a negative, but as something that is a positive where it helps you learn. And this is especially important where you feel like things are outside of your control. I mean, there's arguments that every single thing on the planet is outside of your control. Like welcome to 2020, right? But if you recognize there's a concept called fail first, fail often.
Yeah.
Because every single time you allow yourself to try something and test it out and then get the feedback and the information, you can apply it to get a little bit better each time. That's the growth mindset.
Yeah.
It's that you don't have to be perfect out of the gate. And if you can acknowledge that you don't have to, that actually, if you're waiting until you feel like it's perfect, you've probably waited too long and you've left a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about awareness, and you were talking about the confidence in, I don't know if that's the right word. You were talking about awareness and not charging enough. Can you speak to that
Oh,
a little bit?
yes. You often see imposter syndrome show up in the failure to set your prices in accordance with their real value.
Yes.
And that is a really, really tough one. One of the things that I teach with my clients is the chaos to confidence model. It's something that I created in response to the competence confidence loop, and I've added in that we get to these new situations of like chaos or areas of opportunity for us. Place, and usually the chaos is internal. So what happens is you're like, I need to raise my prices, but how do I even go and talk to my clients about it? And then those negative thoughts pop in and keep us from doing that. You're not worth that, then nobody's going to pay that. That's not really what the market charges, or even if it is, even if the market, even if I'm, let's say you're charging, I don't know, $150 less than market rate, right? And that's not uncommon. I get really pissed at other people who charge well under what the market rate is, because it makes it tougher for the rest of us. But when you're doing that, you're going to burn yourself out. And so that's a moment where you need to you really need to get some objective advice and support. That's when I would be reaching out to others. This is who are in the same field. When you are doing that competitive research and you're talking to others about what are they charging, and
Yeah.
then you need to get that feedback of, arguing with yourself about whether or not, like, what is it that's holding you back in that particular instance? What is it that makes you think that you shouldn't be charging that? And a lot of times that goes back to people think they don't have enough credentials, or, well, I'm brand new. I'm
Yeah.
brand new and I need to do this for free, God forbid, right? Like sometimes people do that as well. Like, I'm just going to, we're going to trade, or something like that. Don't do that. If you're doing the work has a certain value. Like, definitely charge. You don't want to overprice yourself either. So you do have to do the work. None of the mindset stuff works unless you work it and you do the work. So you need to go out, figure out what's an appropriate price, and then what it is for you that's holding you back, and then get support around that.